You are now listening to Renaissance Soul.
Welcome to the Renaissance Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier. For this episode, we are joined by Detroit hip-hop producer Apollo Brown as we take a look into his very adventurous project, Sincerely Detroit, released on November 8th of 2019 on Mello Music Group. We talk about the motivation in doing such a project that included over 50 Detroit hip-hop artists over 21 tracks. Sincerely Detroit is a love letter to the culture, and it's one of the most comprehensive looks on the various types of talent coming from the Detroit music scene. As we go track by track during this episode, we hear stories from Apollo Brown about why he chose to include these artists on his project. Sincerely Detroit, just for the amount of artists having to coordinate for it, coupled with its high quality of artistry, is something we've never seen before and may never see again. So without further ado, after a word from our sponsor, let's get into this episode with Apollo Brown as we talk about Sincerely Detroit. All right, welcome back to Renaissance Soul. We're here at Apollo Brown's studio.
The lab.
The lab. And we're going to be talking Sincerely Detroit. The other day, when recording this, I was invited to a listening session at the studio for Sincerely Detroit, so I was able to hear the whole album, and it's really fucking good, really fucking good.
I appreciate that.
And so, let's get into it. What was your initial idea for Sincerely Detroit?
Man, this is an album I've wanted to do for pretty much my whole career. I'm glad I'm doing it now because it's giving a lot of these artists time to bud. You know what I'm saying? If I would have done it 7, 6, 8 years ago, a lot of the artists that are on this album wouldn't be on this album because they wouldn't even have started their careers yet. But no, this is an album that I wanted to do for a long time. The fans have wanted me to do it for a long time, and just kind of showcasing showcasing Detroit, showcasing the amazing amount of talent that we have here, whether it be MCs, producers, singers, whatever, what have you. It's just one of those albums that I think every producer should have in their catalog. An album that represents home. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I wanted to do it, man, and finally got a good amount of time to put it together. It took me I'd say about 6 months to get everything back. Which is a lot longer than I would take to do a normal album. But I was very patient with this one because I wanted to do it and I wanted to make it happen.
Yeah, one thing you said that you've said about this isn't necessarily just an album for Detroit, but it's more so an album for the world showcasing Detroit.
Exactly, and that's what I see it as. That's why I named it Sincerely Detroit. It's like a letter or a gift that's wrapped up and signed Sincerely Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It's for the world. Although the rest of the world checks for Detroit, rest of the hip-hop world knows, they know the deal when it comes to Detroit as far as the artists, the producers, the music in general. But, I still wanted to kind of reiterate that, I think hip hop lives in Detroit, and it's here to stay. And the artists here are some of the best in the world. And whether they're seasoned veterans or whether they're up and comers, man, I think they're some of the best in the world. And I wanted to showcase that.
Talk about the process in regards to reaching out and selecting the people that you have featured on Sincerely Detroit.
Now, making an album like this is like really political. So when I first started making the album, I had the usual suspects. The Royces, the Guilties, the Elzais, the usual people that, amazing artists that you would hear from Detroit, on top, upper echelon. but I felt as though if I was going to make a proper Detroit album, a proper Detroit compilation album, I have to include everyone. And of course, I'm not. It was no pity when it came to this album whatsoever. I wasn't including people because maybe I should include him or maybe I should. No, everyone I wanted to include on this album, I included because I wanted to. I wanted them on this album. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I started with about 6 people, or not 6 people, about 16 people maybe, and it just started snowballing. Man, went to about 22, then 34, and then 40, and then ultimately we end up in 56 artists. I literally cannot put any more music on this album. We all know that a CD is 80 minutes long. This album is 79 minutes and 29 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So there's literally, if I wanted to put anyone else on this album, I couldn't. I had no room for interludes. I had no room for anything. I could put a little intro on here and call it a day, man. It's all music.
All music, just rates.
All music, man.
Right.
So, but just the process of going about picking artists, and I'm a fan of Detroit hip hop, just like the rest of the world. Even though I live inside of it, I listen to it as if I'm on the outside, and it's great, man. It's great music. So going about picking the artists is hard. It's easy and hard at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's easy because you already know. You're like, boom, him. I'm gonna hit him up. It's like I'm gonna hit her up. I'm gonna hit her up. I'm gonna hit him up. Like, it's just. But when it comes down to it, it's like the hard part would be who to leave off. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to leave certain people off. There was a lot of people that were kind of left off the album that I didn't want to leave off. I just didn't have room for. And that kind of goes with maybe I'll do another one. I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. But no, it's easy and hard at the same time picking who you're going to pick, man. You want to include certain crews, certain groups, certain solo artists. You want to include certain eras. You want to include certain types of Detroit hip hop. You want to kind of have a mix of everything on an album like this, man. So it's really just a large showcase of talent, that represents Detroit.
Here in the album, everybody had great verses on this record.
I agree, man.
What was your pitch though to everybody? What were you telling them when you brought up this project that you were doing?
When I sent out the correspondence, I told all the artists what it was, what I had planned on doing, what I hoped it to be, and they knew that there was going to be a large amount of MCs from this city, and I'm pretty sure they knew that those MCs would include monsters like Royce and Elzai and MCs like that, Guilty, and so I think they knew that they had to step it up.
Right.
They knew they had to come correct. They're holding their own in representation of Detroit. You don't want to be the only one on an album full of dope MCs that just kind of dropped the ball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and in my opinion, nobody on this album dropped the ball. Everyone came correct. Everyone came with their own styles, their own, just the way that they, no one sounded the same. Everybody they just came correct, man. And it just made it a really good album, man. And I hope that, like I said, everybody else did their thing. I hope I did mine as well. So.
How did you go about picking who's going to be on which track with each other? The combinations of the features.
That one was a little weird because I didn't want. Again, I'll use the term usual suspects, man. I didn't want the usuals to be on the track with the usuals. People that they always do songs with. We always hear certain songs from this person and that person together. I didn't want that. I kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit. I wanted you to hear a certain MC on a track with another MC that you've never heard together before, and you might never hear again later on after this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This might be the only time you'll ever hear them on a song together. Not because any beef or anything like that, just because they don't really run in the same circles.
Yeah.
and they might not have the opportunity to even work together. So I just wanted to do that. I also wanted to put certain MCs on a certain sound that you never really would hear. There were certain artists that I gave, a certain beat to that I wouldn't normally send them that type of beat. You know what I'm saying? And but I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear how it would sound.
Were they generally open to doing that though?
Everyone was open to doing whatever I sent them. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There was no one that hit me back and said, "Yo, can we get a different beat?" You know what I'm saying? Like nobody did that. Everybody was like, they knew what it was. They knew, including myself, that this project was bigger than us individually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So everything I do when I make an album, I do it for the good of the album, not for the good of myself or not for the good of the MC involved, for the good of the album as a whole. That's like playing on a team. You want to win. That's what you want to do. You want to win. However you win, who cares? You just want to win. You know what I'm saying? That running back might get 200 yards rushing or the receiver might get 200 yards receiving. A lot of times you can't do both. You know what I'm saying? But whoever shines, okay, whatever. The ultimate, goal was we won. And that's kind of how it is with this. No one complained. No one. It was really a smooth process, to be honest. It was just a lot of waiting time, and that's kind of how it is when you have so many artists involved. They have their own lives. They have their own careers. People were on the road. I had to wait until people got off tours. It just depended. Like people had different things that some people were just in a block. They couldn't.
Yeah.
That happens, man. And some people they had other things that they were doing or going through certain things or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's common, man, to have that type of waiting time for an album of this magnitude. But it ultimately got done. It came out amazing. The MCs did their thing, and man, I couldn't be more proud.
Aside from waiting for the verses and adding more people to this project from the beginning, was there any other ways that you sort of pivoted or changed your outlook on the project as a whole during the process?
Other than the fact that I was like, yo, what the hell am I doing right now? Like, why am I doing? Because there was a couple times during the process where I was like, what did I get myself into, man? Like,
this is never gonna end.
Like, oh my God. Like, I didn't know. I'm like, man, this sounded like a great idea, but then I got deep into it and I'm like, man, this is gonna be like, I skipped a whole release period to finish this album, man. You know what I'm saying? Like my last album came out a year ago.
Oh shoot!
You know what I'm saying? It's literally been a year to this week that I put my last album out, and I never wait usually a whole year to put it out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
We're like, oh, there's another. Oh,
look, I skipped the
Paulo
release.
has another album out. Oh, look at that!
I
thought
skipped
he
the
just
release
put out
period.
another album 2 weeks ago.
Exactly, man. I mean, you got to, in this industry, you don't work, you don't eat, man. So,
Right.
But I never, I hardly ever go a whole year without putting out a project. But this project was that important to me that I skipped a whole.
What was the
period.
last project that you put up before that?
It was me and Joel Ortiz.
Man, okay.
Mona Lisa.
And side note, that was one of the best like albums that I ever heard like Joel Ortiz do.
That's
like I feel like you guys. Like you brought something out of him or whatever.
I think we made a good team, man. It was a good team. It was a good marriage.
Yeah,
it was a very good marriage.
Great. It was so good,
and I think it came out. It was top notch.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally, totally. Okay, so let's get into the album itself.
Okay.
Talk about all the million tracks on here.
All right.
The 55 hours of
yeah, it's a lot of music, man.
A lot of music.
A lot of music.
Okay, the first track on there is Fate. That's a bit of a intro, I would say.
Yeah, Fate would be the intro. It's a combination of certain things. Obviously, I can't say exactly where it came from. I know where it came from, but I can't mention exactly where it came from. But it's a combination of I would say documentary talking about Detroit and Detroit citizens and the people of Detroit and how resilient they are, basically, and how God must have thought it to be fate that basically Detroit is on this map. So that's it's a nice little intro, man. A good feeling, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the album. You
Right.
know, so
All right, the next track is "God Help Me" with Black Milk, Catchphrase, and DJ Los.
yes, man. That was actually the lead single. We started the campaign off with that single, man. And it just so happens to be, the first actual song on the album. It's just a good song, man. Obviously Black Milk is Black Milk. He does his thing. He's a self-contained artist. He one of the best producers in the world, but also, which I don't know if he gets enough credit for, is amazing MC.
He is, yeah,
He's
definitely.
an amazing MC, man. He's an amazing MC. I had to, you can't make a Detroit album without putting Black Milk on it. That
Right.
doesn't make any sense. I'm probably say that with about most of these people on this album.
Right,
You
right.
can't make a Detroit album, a Detroit compilation album. We'll just say without everyone on this album or on here, all these names, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, and Catchphrase, man, Catch P, he's a monster, man. We all know this.
I loved his verse on this track. It was like so just heartfelt.
It was very heartfelt, man. True story, and he just kind of he shot straight from the heart, man. It was really dope, man, and to hear him like that, and because we know he can come like that, he can come with the rah rah, he's just an all around great MC, man.
Right.
And no complaints here. And then Los, man, DJ Los. Los is my go-to DJ, man. He's my go-to, cut master, like straight up. Like he knows what he's doing. He's good at finding the right samples to cut. He's good at his scratch techniques. And then he's just an all-around great dude.
Right.
Period. So I don't know. This song just came out great, man. I enjoyed the beat. Obviously, I made it. So, and I think they went very well over it.
Right. Yeah, and I like that on this album too that you've had multiple DJs and you actually like acknowledge the DJ.
Absolutely, man. I think a lot of the music today, most of the music today, has kind of done away with the DJ. The DJ started this whole thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you do away with the DJ, man? You don't hear a lot of, unless you're listening to a DJ Premier record, you're not hearing any scratch hooks anymore.
Right.
You're not hearing any homage to the DJ. It's just, I don't know. They're kind of doing away with the DJ, man, and I'm not really feeling that. So I try to put a type of DJ element in all of my albums. Something, at least one scratch hook. At
Right.
least, you know what I'm saying? Depending on the album, and it's something that I think is sad nowadays, man. And the DJ started it all.
Oh, definitely. The next up is Commas and Apostrophes featuring Crown Nation.
Crown Nation, man. Quelle Chris, Denmark VC, man. It's those two together they're amazing solo.
Right.
But when you put them together as Crown Nation,
A couple of weirdos, like
they
totally are.
They're different. You know what I'm saying? They're very different cats, man.
Yeah.
But that's what makes them dope, man. They're great MCs, man. They have an ear for amazing, taste. Their beats are always great, man, and just their lyrics and content is always great, man. They're fun to listen to, and just great to work with, man, and great to hear on a record, man. And I think, to me, that specific beat fit them perfect, man. When I made that beat for this album, that's what I heard on it immediately. So they came with it, made a great song.
Right. The next one up is Longevity featuring Trick Trick, Marv One, Mo Dirty, and Dez.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. You can't make a Detroit album and not have Trick on it, or Marv, or Mo, or Dez. Like, come on, man. It's like, come on. Trick splashed on this, man. I mean, he when he sent his verse over to me, I was in amazement, man. And he didn't even want that verse. He wanted to change it. And I'm like, nah, dude. I was like, come on, Unc, man. This is it right here. This is the one. So, I mean, I was just amazed at that verse, straight up. And I think everybody at the listening was amazed at that verse as well. Obviously, Marv One, he comes correct every single time. He's one of the few battle rappers that can actually make good songs and make, great albums, man.
And he came a little different than usual on
He
this
did,
record.
but man, I mean, come on, man, he comes with it every time. I've never heard a bad Marv verse. I just never have. Marv is great, and he's an amazing producer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mo, come on, man. Mo is the epitome of Detroit. Mo Dirty, he comes with it, man. He comes correct every time. It's hard to make a Detroit album without Mo Dirty. It can't happen, man. So
He's one of those Detroit cats.
yeah, man.
Doesn't matter if
you
he's
don't belong in Detroit. One of them cats, man. It's like,
doesn't matter where he goes, but he's still like a Detroit cat.
Absolutely, man. And Dez, I mean, come on, man. Dez is one of the faces of Detroit. Period, man. It's like DJ Dez Andres. Oh, come on, man. Like this, he's one of the faces of Detroit. You got to have him on the album. He did some amazing cuts on the album.
Yep.
He went crazy with it. So, no, good song, man. Longevity, good song.
All right, the next up is Thoughts in Mind, featuring Chris Oric and Majestic Legend.
Yeah, man. I've always been. Majestic Ledge, man. Like I've been a fan of Majestic Legend for a long time, man. And
he's an old school homie.
We've
man.
known each other for a long time, and I had to reach out. He just got married not too long ago, I believe, man. Congrats to that. He's always been a great MC, man.
Right.
He can put words together. He can put thoughts together like crazy. He'll give you imagery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He'll give you imagery, and he's just a great MC, man. And Chris Oric, we all know him as Red Pill. He changed his name recently to Chris Oric, which is his government name. He's also in a group of mine, called Ugly Heroes, and so he knows how much of a fan I am of him. You know what I'm saying? To work that closely with him all the time.
Right.
We've toured together. We've done a lot of that music stuff together. So, he's always been heartfelt, and he's always spoke his mind on record, and he kind of gives you. He's amazing for relatable rap. He gives you relatable rap, man. He gives you straight blue collar relatable rap. So. That's what I needed for that record, for that beat, man, and they both came with it. So
cool. All right, the next one is Stopwatch with a monster of a lineup of Elzai, T. Kalmis, Quest McCody, and Melanie Rutherford. Whoa.
Yeah, man. I don't even have to say much about Elzai. Come on, man. He's one of the greatest MCs to ever do it. He puts words together like no other. He's again. I don't need to say much. He's one of the greatest MCs to ever do it. Period. T. Kalmis, man, I had to bring him, aboard this, man. That was, I was a fan since Octane and Elite, man. He's just a great MC, man, and he deserves whatever's coming to him, man. He's a good dude, and I think he came very well on this track. Quest McCody as well. Another battle rapper that can make great songs and great albums. He came correct. He's just a good dude as well, man. Just a great MC, man. A great representation of Detroit.
Right.
And Melanie Rutherford. Come on, man. Like, aside from Detroit having, some of the greatest MCs and greatest DJs in the world and greatest producers in the world, we got some of the greatest singers in the world, and Melanie Rutherford is one of them, man. And she's a sweetheart, man. And I love her work and her. She's a songstress, man. She can sing her ass off. Period, man. She's great.
Right. The next one is Never, and you got Paradigm out of hiding for this one, along with Miss Corona and DJ AMF.
Yeah, Paradigm, man. Good old Dime, man. I had to bring him out, man. He's been playing the tambourine a little too much for Kid Rock, man. I had to get him on the mic, and and he would come on, man. Me and Dime go way back, and he's one of my best friends, man. And he would, as soon as I call him, he was like, "Yeah, let's do it, man." And he splashed on this record too. He just came out like he had something to prove, like he's never rapped before or something. And same with Corona, man. Corona came with it, man. And I'm like, you never miss a beat with Corona, man. She knows.
She came out so hard.
She knows
on this
exactly
record.
what to do on every beat, on every song, and she never skips a beat, man. She's dope, super dope, man.
She came out so hard on that verse, man, hard.
And then AMF, man. AMF is my dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a great dude, great DJ. He came with the cuts. Another good example of what Detroit has to offer when it comes to DJs, man. So, yeah, that song Never, man. It's a dope joint.
The next one is Letting Go featuring Finale, Illa J, and Leif Erikson.
I mean, come on, man. Finale is kind of where, Apollo Brown's career, in Detroit got started. So, I had to include Finale on this. There's no way I would make a Detroit album and not include Finale.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't even make sense to me. If Finale couldn't do it, I wouldn't even have done it. He's one of the greatest MCs to come out of the city. Whether he gets the credit or not, I'm not sure. He definitely gets the credit from me. He's one of the greatest MCs to ever come out of this city, if not this region, if not this country. You know what I'm saying? Finale is a monster.
Yeah, and anytime I think of the name Apollo Brown, I think of him saying it, Apollo Brown.
He's another one of my really, really good close friends, man. So we've known each other for a long time.
Apollo Brown.
Yeah, man, that's my guy. And then Illa J, Illa J is Illa J, man. He can come with the bars, or he can come with the singing. He can come with whatever you want him to come with, man. Illa J is another self-contained artist that, he just makes his mark on whatever track he's on. So, he came with it. And Leif Erikson, man. Leif Erikson's one of the biggest supporters in the city. Great MC, great artist, man. And I had to put him on this album. There was no way that I was going to make this without him as well. So, Leif came with it, man, and I was very impressed with that joint.
The next one is Dominance, and this was like Bar City on this one with Aztec the Barfly, Kid Vicious, V Styles, and DJ Los.
Yeah, this was actually the third single, I believe. Aztec splashed on this. This wasn't even
right.
When I first heard the verse, I was like, holy shit, man. I was like, damn, this is gonna be a hard act to follow, man. And he came with it, man. He spits like he has something to prove, man. So,
always,
man.
Man.
And that's that's great, man. It makes for amazing songs. So I mean,
he spits like he's about to fight you.
He's just he's an amazing MC, man. Period. And then I mean, Kid Vicious follows him up and does just as well. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know, man. He has quotable bars. Vish is like, I don't know. He's just an amazing representation of the city, man.
Right.
He's one of those dudes that if you had to pick somebody to battle with you, when you leave the city, man, you'd pick him to do it, man. He's just like, I don't know. He's just one of them dope MCs, man, that you always want to call on. V Styles, man, one of the great human beings out of Detroit, man. That's my guy. Yeah. This dude has songs with legends. He has songs with up and comers. He has songs with just about anybody you can, possibly name, whether it be producer or MC. And that's for a reason, man. That's for a reason, man. He's an MC to the heart, man. He's a true MC. And
just has good relationships with everybody.
Great relationships. And he's just a true MC, man. He comes with it, man, every single time. The enthusiasm's there. Everything's there. I love this dude, man, and I love listening to his music. So, and then again, DJ Los, man. I don't gotta say much more about Los. Los is amazing. Period.
Right. The next track is All Day featuring Slum Village.
Slumville, come on, man. I mean, again, I'm gonna say you can't make a Detroit album without having Slum Village on it.
Right.
Period. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, T3, Young RJ, they both came with it. The song is like has like, I don't know what you want to call it, man. It's just like real. It's just real vibed out, man. Just the way they come with it.
Yeah.
Over the beat, man. The way they ride the beat, and it's just, to me, it's just an overall great Slum Village song. and I'm glad to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is one of those songs that'll just kind of, it might separate itself from the album and just be a Slum Village song one day, and people will be like, "Oh, that Slumville song, man." They wouldn't even, I don't know, they wouldn't even acknowledge me, the fans or whatever. They're just like, "Yo, it's a good Slumville song," but I'm glad to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And those dudes are great dudes, man, and obviously they have one of the greatest legacies in the city. So
Right.
yeah.
The next joint is "Oh Lord" featuring Fat Father, Journalist 103, and Valid.
Yo, Fat Father came with one of the best verses I've ever heard, period, out of Detroit on this one. Like, it's a very heartfelt verse.
Yeah.
But if you listen to it, he plays with the colors, and he names different colors throughout the verse, and it all makes sense, man. It's crazy. Fats is he's one of the best out of the city.
He's one of those dudes that if like
he's
gonna
quiet though.
Yeah, if he's gonna be on your project, if he just has one verse to contribute to your project, he's going to make it count.
Oh yeah, no, he's a standout. Absolutely, man. He's a standout on everything he's on, man. And dude is just mad humble and just one of the nicest cats I've ever met, man. Just like a huge teddy bear, man. Straight up. Jern, man, Journalist 103. That's my guy, man, from way back when we was in the group The Left, man. You know what I'm saying? We started this off a long time ago, man, and I can't have an album without Jern on it. A Detroit album without Jern on it, that doesn't make any sense. No, Jern does what he does, man. He came correct, of course. He always does. I don't have to babysit journalists.
Nah.
He knows what he's doing. He's a professional at this, man, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And I knew that when I called upon him. I knew it. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And his verse is dope. His verse is great, man. I mean, that went without saying. I didn't even have to mention that. Valid, man. Valid surprised me big time, man. Valid is one of the kind of the up and comers in the city, man, and he's doing his thing. He's getting mad buzz, and he's doing his thing, man. You know what I'm saying? He's a funny dude. He's just a great guy. He's always supportive of everyone. You know what I'm saying? And
he hustles harder than a lot of
he does,
people.
Man. He does. Absolutely.
He hustles,
man. I see him everywhere, man, and he's just always supporting, man. And I had to have him on this project. There was no way I was going to do this project without him because, he came correct, man, and he did what he was supposed to do. I was very impressed. Very impressed.
The next joint is "Deception and Woes" featuring Clear Soul Forces.
Yeah, man, that was a long time coming. Just myself and Clear Soul Forces doing a joint together. That was a long time coming. Should have happened a long time ago. Very happy with this song. Joint came out great. All four MCs. I love them because they're all four of them are different, man. But they come together and kind of form Voltron, man.
Right, that's exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They come together and form Voltron and make amazing music, bro. Like, I'm a fan, big time. And they just, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to. We just shot a video for this song, and it was obviously, man. I had to shoot a video for this song. It was one of those joints, man. One of those types of joints, and I think that people are gonna love this joint. They came correct. Absolutely came correct.
The next joint is "Overdo It" featuring Bronze Nazareth and Boldy James.
Another, and I'm gonna keep saying this, but I mean, it's just making a Detroit album without these two is kind of impossible, man. And me and Bronze go way back. I've known him all my life, and we came up together when we both started producing. You know what I'm saying? And he's an amazing MC, man. A lot of people don't give him the credit, I think, for being such an amazing MC. Like, his writing skills, man, I've watched it all my life. The way that this man writes is ridiculous, and the stuff that he puts together. And if you let him explain his verses, I mean, you just be your mind will be blown, like, at what he's talking about. And also, I mean, obviously, he's a very accomplished producer. You know what I'm saying? I think that's more what he's known for, man, is being such an amazing producer as well for, just about everybody, including like Wu-Tang. So he came with it, obviously. and then Boldy James. I mean, Boldy's obviously made a name for himself here in Detroit, um, and not just in Detroit, but around the world. And Boldy's an amazing MC, man. He's a good storyteller, and he's just made this song overall, man, just a great song, man. I love this song. It's one of the more dingier songs on the album.
And kind of like when you think about working with people like Finale and Bronze, these are people that like you knew before you were putting out records.
Yeah.
When you think about where you're at now, and being able to include these people that knew you before any of this was happening, how does that make you feel?
No, that's great, man. You know what I'm saying? These are people that I will never stop working with. You know what I'm saying? I started with them, and I will never stop working with them in one way, shape, or form. Whether it's a song, whether it's an album, whether it's a collaboration of some sort, whether it's a tour, whatever. These are people that I'll never stop working with, man. And I'll never lend my skills to, or I'll never stop asking them to lend their skills to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
These are great individuals, great people, and obviously great artists, man. And I'm really big on just good people in general, man. Especially when I'm working with people, like it's not just about their artistry. It's not just about how dope of an MC they are. It's about them as a person, man. And I'm really big on that. Just surrounding myself around good people, and usually, man, everybody I work with, they're good people.
Right. The next joint up is In the Water, featuring Boog Brown and Chavis Chandler.
Yeah, Boog is another name that that is in my past as far as albums. Me and Boog did an album back in 2011, I think, 10, 11, I can't remember, called Brown Study, man. It came out really well. And, she's been down in Atlanta for a while. And if you notice on the beginning of the song, she says, "Welcome home, Elsie." She's kind of talking to herself. She's kind of, hyping herself up a little bit. She's like, "Welcome home, Elsie." And it was kind of like a good welcome for her. She did her thing as always, man. Boog is dope, man. There's a reason why I worked with her when I did. You know what I'm saying? I thought she was amazing. She's still amazing MC. She's getting love everywhere, and she did her thing on this record. And then putting her with Chavis, man, that was something that's kind of like a dream collab that I wanted to do. Her and Chavis, I knew that they would sound good together. Chavis Chandler is a great up and coming MC, man, and he splashed on this record. You know what I'm saying? He came with it, man. I think he ended up doing like 24 bars on it. And he just kept going, man. I was when I got the verse back, I'm like, yo, he just kept going and going and going. I'm like, all right, that's what I'm talking about. That's dope, man. He's just a dope MC, man. And I'm very amazed at what came about with that record.
The next joint is 365, featuring Rose Spit, Name Tag, and Ty Ferris.
Yeah, man. I mean, Ro is a great representative of Detroit. Even though he's from Yacktown, he, everybody in Detroit, man, includes him in everything they do, man. Ro is amazing, bro. He's just an amazing dude, man. And he has a lot of swag, man. His swag is crazy. So I love his verse, man, and the little laughs he does in between, man. He's just dope, man. And that verse kind of makes me smile, man. I was glad to get him on it, and I love that joint, man. It's a great verse. And Name Tag came with it, man. Another one who he felt like he had something to prove, man. Like we didn't know who he was or something.
Right.
Name Tag, we know who you are, bro. We know you, man.
Yeah, he's another person that
Tag.
hustles really hard.
Absolutely, man. And but he came with it, man. He splashed on this as well. Great verse. I was like, okay, I see you, man. I see you getting sandwiched in between these guys, Rose Spit and Ty Ferris. And Ty Ferris, Ty's my guy, man. He's a good dude, man. He's one of the better cats that I've met out here, man. I enjoy, standing next to him at a show, man, because it's just funny. He's like a little kid that kind of tries to soak up knowledge, man. And
right. He's a funny dude. Right?
No, he's a really good dude, man.
Right.
And I got to get him over here one of these days, man, so we can work on something. I've been telling him, we're gonna definitely work on something, and I definitely want to, man. But he, again, another crazy verse, man. And I'm not gonna say, I don't say any of that lightly, man. I mean, he came with it, splashed on this song, and it's a great song, man. It's a great song.
This next joint is The Backbone, featuring Guilty Simpson, Fat Ray, and Melanie Rutherford.
There's something about this joint. We shot a video for this joint. It was the first video. I don't know. There's just something about this joint that really kind of pulls at my heartstrings, and I don't know if it's the feeling of the beat or if it's what's being said or a combination of that and the melodies and the counter melodies from Melanie Rutherford or whatever. I don't know. There was something about this song that I really, really, really loved, man. It's one of my favorites, and anytime I'm, me and Guilty get together, it's come on, man. That's a given, man. Guilty's my guy, man. It's one of my favorite people ever, man. It's my guy. So he came with it. He does what Guilty does. And then, come on, man, like Fat Ray's Jesus, man. Like everybody, when Fat Ray come up, and it's just like, Jesus, man, like I don't even know what to say. Like he did his thing. His thing. And I didn't expect anything less. Fat Ray comes like that on everything he does, man. And that's a given. That's why I called on him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Another guy that you can't do a Detroit, neither one of these guys, you can't do a Detroit album without. So great song. And obviously Melanie Rutherford's on this joint too. I already said what I had to say about her, man. She's amazing. Amazing songstress. I love the way she comes on this joint. So great joint.
The next joint is Jackson's, featuring Seven the General, Nick Speed, and Big Tone.
Yeah, man. Yo, Seven the General, man. Had to call on him. He came with it. He started the joint off. Hard act to follow. Then Nick comes with it. Oh, man. And then Tone comes with it. Like, come on, man. Like, this is one of those joints, man, that just, the gift keeps on giving type joint, man. It just, every time, it was amazing. And then, like, Speed did the cuts on this, too. And Speed is a self-contained artist. He raps, he produces, he does cuts. He probably sings. He probably plays the bongos, too. Speed is just a
you never know with
dude.
him, man.
Yeah, man. And, Seven came on this, man, and did his thing, man. I didn't expect anything less, of course. And then Tone is well known for doing what he does. Obviously, an accomplished beat maker as well. And
Tone just comes with everything so effortless.
Yeah, man. No, he just does it all.
Dude.
He does it all, man. And he does it all just, it's easy, man. He just comes easy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Tone's just dope, man. He's just a great dude and just a great artist, man, period. Self-contained. That's the way to be, man. I wish I was a self-contained artist. But,
you wish you could rap?
Not really, man, but you know what I'm saying? In some capacity, man, I wish I was self-contained. You don't want to hear me on the mic, though. But yeah, no, Jackson's, that's a dope joint.
The next joint is Can't Lose, featuring Fat Cat, Royce the 5'9", and DJ Los.
I mean, this joint is self-explanatory, man. I mean, you got Fat Cat starting it off. Come on, man. I mean, he's one of the faces of Detroit hip hop, period. For years. For years. And still is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, Like, it's Fat Cat, man. You can't really, there's nothing else to say, man. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, to ever come out of this city, period. You know what I'm saying? And a real life Dilla representer and Detroit representer, man. And he came with it. Of course he came with it. I didn't even expect anything else. And then you got Royce following that up. It's Royce, man. He's one of the greatest MCs ever in the world. So that doesn't even, both of them two on a track together? Come on. That's just not even. And then cuts by Los. I don't even want to say any more about this joint. Amazing.
All right, the next joint is Break the Code, featuring Super MC Conniver and Alexis Allen? I don't know that person.
Alexis Allen. Yeah,
Allen.
she's an up and coming singer.
Yeah,
Out of
she's
Detroit.
doing her thing on it, and I'm like, who?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
no,
know. I don't
yeah.
know that name.
She's an up and coming singer out of Detroit.
Okay.
I believe she rocks with Super MC.
Okay, cool. All right.
But she was dope, and she did her thing. You know, it was unexpected, and then and I was like, yo, yeah, let's do it. Come on, she's dope. She's really dope, and I'm glad that she's on this, man. She did her thing, and obviously Soup does his thing every single time. You know, that's not even a question. He comes with it like no other, and he's one of the greatest MCs in the city as well. And then Kaniva, man, come on, man. Kaniva's my guy, man. Like he's just one of those dudes, man. He's just a good dude, man. And he's a great MC, man. He's sold millions and millions of records, man. You know what I'm saying? He's been triple platinum and stuff before, man. He's dove into that swimming pool that the rest of us haven't. But you know what I'm saying? But he's super, you know, he's super down to earth, man. Super, you know, he's just a good dude, man, and an all around great MC, man. And I had to have him on this project. Period. You know, he did his thing. They all did their thing on this song.
The next joint is Skimmin' featuring Nolan Ninja and Dopehead.
Yeah, man. I mean, Nolan. Obviously, you know, we all know who Nolan is nowadays, man. Nolan is doing his thing. He's. I don't even know if I would call him an up and comer anymore. I think he's come. Like he's here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's one of them self-contained.
He's self-contained as well, man. He makes beats, man. He raps, man, and you know he does all that stuff, man. So he's just dope. He's just one of the more dingy artists, man, that I love, man. I love his sound, and I like the way he comes on the mic, man. He just does his thing, and so I love this joint, man. And then to put him together with Dopehead, that was I had that thought process early on in the album, and I was like, yo, I want to put them two together because I just think that it would sound dope,
right?
And it sounded dope. You know what I'm saying? Dopehead's great, man. Mike Luke is he's just a great MC, man, and you know I'm a fan. So, yo, putting them together, man, this is an incredible song.
And the last joint on the album is What Up, featuring 87, One Below, and A-.
Yeah, it was a crazy combo, man. It came out amazing. This song is great. 87 is just incredible on the mic, man, and he was the perfect person to lead this joint off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He came with it, man. I'm a fan. I couldn't even fathom, you know, doing this album without him on it, man. And I think he deserves more credit. One Below is One Below. Come on, man. One man army. Like it just,
his verse is crazy.
You know, One Below, man, is just he did what he does, what he's known for. You know what I'm saying, and why he's one of the best to do it, and why he has such a crazy fan base. You know, because it's what he does, man. He's a professional at this period.
One Below is one of those guys that you could give him like a little idea, and he'll make it big.
Hey, I'm not hurting by it, man. I think, he came correct. And then A-, man, the last voice that you hear, it happens to be one of the more different voices on the album, but
right.
It's the last voice that you hear on the album. You know what I'm saying? And he did his thing, man. I'm so proud of that dude, man. I just the way his verse, man, the way he came on his verse, his delivery was great, man. His content was amazing, and I don't regret anything about this song whatsoever. I don't regret anything about anything on the album. But he came correct, man. I'm so glad that I put him on it, and he impressed the shit out of me, man. I'm a fan. So, that was the last joint on the album. That was it. That's a lot of music, though.
That's a lot of music. When you finally had all of this done and sequenced and everything, and you finally listened to it, what was your thoughts?
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like I don't get into an album until I start mixing it. So once I got all of this stuff back, it really didn't matter to me yet. Like I was still kind of like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I got all these verses and for these songs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, whatever. Until I start mixing. Once I start mixing and I start really seeing what I have and start putting it together and then start arranging it, yo, man, it just all came together, man. And I was just like, yo, this is beautiful. Like, I'm very impressed, man. Like, it's hard to get 56 artists together on one album, but not just 56 artists, but 56 artists from the same city on one album, and kind of have it end up being very cohesive.
Yeah, it comes out very cohesive.
Like it's a cohesive album, man. I was really surprised. I mean, of course, you got some verses that might be a little off from others or whatever content-wise, but it didn't hurt anything on the song or the album whatsoever.
It wasn't noticeable.
It was again, yeah, it's not really noticeable unless I point it out,
right?
Or unless you really analyze the song,
right?
Which
right.
Nobody's going to do that, or maybe they will. I don't know, but either way, it's not going to take away from the dopeness of the song or the album as a whole, man.
How did you go about sequencing the album, though?
That's always a kind of like a challenge for me, man. It's like one of those things that I take like a week to do. It's very important to me.
Of course.
It's one of the most important things making an album.
Yeah.
Whatever album it is the arrangement, man. The sequence of the album. I'm a big roller coaster fan when it comes to music, man, and I'm weird too because it takes me a long time because I don't like two life songs next to each other. I don't like two hard songs next to each other. I don't like songs that start with the same letter.
Right.
I'm serious, man. Like
right.
two S's next to each other. Like I'm really weird. I'll change the name of a song if I feel like the song has to be there next to that song. I'll change the name of the song because I don't want it to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't like when there's two one word titles next to each other. Like I'm real weird with that, man. It's not just sound for me.
Yeah.
It's aesthetics too, man.
Right.
And so it's just so it takes me like a week to arrange a record. I go through probably 30 different arrangements before I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I start my arrangements from song 1 and the last song. So the first song and the last song.
Right.
And then I work in. That's how I do my arrangements. I know I have to start. I know what I want the album to end on, and I know what I want it to start on. And then everything just kind of falls, and those are my pieces of bread. That's my pieces of bread right there. And then I start putting all the meat and lettuce and tomato and all that other shit in the middle, man. And that's kind of how I arrange everything.
Yeah, like I said to you before, after hearing the album, I really liked that What Up was the last joint because it was a joint that actually had like shout outs to the city.
Yeah.
And to cities. And
yep.
Whereas the rest of the album didn't have any of that. Didn't have any overabundance of shout outs to cities or roads or streets.
It was like cities, streets, roads. Let's see, I think one loaded area codes.
Right.
Like it was just a bunch of everything.
So that was like, to me, that was perfect because a lot of times with Detroit albums, you'll hear like an abundance of neighborhood shout outs or city shout outs or.
No, they pretty much kept all that contained in this album, man. They're
right.
like, it was more so. There was a lot of heartfelt, life songs.
Yeah,
and a lot of people were talking about. I think it was you had mentioned self-awareness and health.
Yeah, there's something like there's a lot of self-care, self-awareness.
Yeah,
a lot of just acknowledging like mental health, and stuff like that, which I feel is very important, especially in hip hop. That a lot of things that are being talked about on this album are stuff that are necessarily not talked about in hip hop and not talked about in the Black communities.
Exactly. No, it's something that we tend to shy away from, man. And if we talk about it, it makes us weak or less of a man or
Right.
certain or vulnerable. We don't like to show vulnerability, and
Right.
if something's wrong, we can't let others know about it. That type of stuff. So, no, I'm very proud of the way that everybody kind of spilled their guts on this album.
Yeah, and they do it in a very strong way.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful way,
Yeah.
And this is a much more like mature album, A lot of the people on here are, like we were talking about, older now.
We're
They have
getting
kids,
older, man. Absolutely.
dads,
we have families, kids,
grandpas, even.
Yeah. We were talking about that, man. Like, when Daz was like, "Yo, I'm a grandpa, man." Like, yo, it is. That's what it is, man. We have families. Our mentality's different. You know what I'm saying? Like the things we think about, the things that are part of our, or higher on our priority list, are different than they were 10 years ago or 15 years ago. As for me, the sound of my music is different than it was 10, 15 years ago. Like I was really big on like hard and just rah shit.
I was listening to some of your earlier projects a couple days ago, and I was like, yeah, he is right. He's like, there is.
I'm a lot slower these days.
There's
like my beats are a lot slower. And,
yeah,
and
there's
the BPMs are different. The
the
content of the beat is a little bit different, but that's kind of it's just where my mind is, man. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm married with children, man, and my mind is different than it was 10 years ago when I was a single man with no children. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I was talking about this with Big Tone, for the episode that I did with him. We were talking about there's that time when everybody was kind of chasing the record deals, and that burnt out a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
But now we're at this point now where people are back to having fun making music.
Absolutely, yeah,
because
yeah.
they're
There
doing
was
it
a time where I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it, man. I didn't want to do it anymore. I hated it. The behind the scenes was killing me.
But now people are doing it more on their own and
Yeah.
just like doing it to do it. And if it sells, cool. If not, they still had fun doing it. You know?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and you have some people that, like myself, man, it puts food on the table. This is my livelihood. I don't have another job. This is my job. This is my career.
Yeah.
So I have to make some type of sales, or
Yeah.
I have to do something, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's kind of where the stress comes in, because, again, I'm a family man, and I have to put clothes on my family's back.
Yeah, but you've been good at making, paving this avenue for yourself.
Yeah.
To where you can, make it a livelihood and then, tour overseas,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
I know you wish you, could have more love in your own hometown, but
Don't we all, man?
Don't we all? But you have these opportunities where you can tour overseas and
Yeah.
and your music is actually taking you places and putting some money in so without, being all up on the radio or anything,
Yeah, no, you don't. You definitely don't hear me. It was funny because we were coming back home from dinner the other night, me and my wife, and one of my songs came on because we have Sirius satellite radio in the cars.
Yeah.
And one of my songs came on just while we were driving. Man, it was just funny to hear. Every now and then I always hear my songs on Sirius or whatever. But it's cool to hear it come on and you'd be like, oh shoot, that's dope. But I'm glad you mentioned, it's like we as artists, man, would love to, get the love that we think we deserve in our hometown, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm always overseas, I'm always other places, but and it's not even secretly, but I think all of us artists would love to, get the respect and love that from our hometown, man. And I'm hoping that this album, will at least garner some of that, and it was a little overwhelming when I actually made this the announcement for this album. I was getting so much love from people from Detroit, not just artists, but just people that live in Detroit, man, and that follow me, and it was overwhelming, man, because I never really had that response or got that response from Detroit.
Yeah, and the
You
people
know what I'm
that
saying?
you know
I
they-
get it from all over the world.
Right.
I have fans all over the world, and that's cool and all. And that's great, but we always want love from our own city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the songs that you've already put out as singles before the album release, were at that time, those artists were spreading it around, and they were almost like a kid in the candy store with the reactions
absolutely.
about it all. So it was fun to see that, because sometimes you can put a person on a record and then they just forget about it, or they don't they don't even like spread the word about it.
Yeah. Oh, that happens a lot. Absolutely.
But it was like since the moment you put out the first single, everybody that was on those records was just excited about it.
Everybody's showing up, man, to support, man, and I'm very thankful for that, man. I think everybody is excited about it, and everybody's they're just about it, man, and I'm glad. I've never seen that, so that's really dope.
And it's funny, you mentioned like when we first started talking how like this was like just like a perfect time to do this album.
Yeah.
And when I look at everybody that's on this album, take away all the like the younger cats. If you put all just think about all the cats that were been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
This album is not made in any other era of Detroit hip hop.
Yeah.
You go back to the 2000s of everybody that was around. This album is not being made.
Yeah,
at all.
No doubt, no doubt, man. I agree. I'm glad that I finally had the the time slot to really focus on this project, man. And again, waiting this long to do it, and including some of these artists that should be included, man. And I'm happy for it, man. I'm happy for it. Comes out Tuesday. Oh, I mean, shit. Well,
We'll just cut that out.
Cut.
By the time this is out, it's already out.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
But no, actually, let's talk about you released this album on a Tuesday. Was was something that you we talked about at the listening session that we had. Talk about that idea of releasing it on Tuesday, and even like you even said you want to do all your future releases on Tuesday.
I do, man. Tuesday is it's nostalgic to me, man. Growing up, Tuesdays was always that day, man. Was that release day that we waited for. I've talked about how we used to go to Sam Goody on a Monday night at midnight. They used to open up between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, and we used to go there to get whatever release was coming out that morning, that Tuesday morning. And it was tradition, man, and it was something that we were excited for. And then Tuesday just allowed for us to listen to that album all week. And by the time Friday, Saturday came, we knew the words to the album. We memorized it already. And we just, whether we were going back and forth from school or going back and forth from work or whatever, it gave you something to really focus on that whole week, man. Friday releases. I haven't gotten used to them. I just don't really care for them because, especially me, I mean, it's more personal. As a family man, the last thing I'm thinking about on a Friday is buying music, man, straight up. Like, I'm barely on my computer on a Friday. I'm gearing up towards for a heavy weekend with the family, or kids' birthday parties, or going here, going there, going on vacation, or whatever it is. My weekends are usually full, man, and last thing I'm doing is trying to buy music. And even if I did buy music on that Friday, I wouldn't listen to it until Monday or Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? I'm not listening to it on the weekend. I'm doing all kinds of other life things on the weekend. I'm out and about doing things on the weekend. Last thing I'm thinking about is listening to music or buying music. So it was just a dumb switch to me, man. I just thought it was stupid when everything switched over to Friday. Tuesday was perfect. And I just think that I want to go back to the nostalgia of Tuesdays, man. And, everybody gets their placements on Fridays and stuff like that now. But I think if the album's good and, people give it a chance to marinate throughout the week, you'll get your placements on Friday. That's fine. I'm just going back to Tuesday, man. I think Tuesday is is good for me. It might not be good for other people, man, but it's good for me.
Talk about the album cover.
The album cover, man, it's actually a photo. It's an old photo, a '90s photo of Fort Street, or not '90s. I'm sorry, 2000s photo. The photo was taken within the last, I believe, 15 years. But it's just an old photo of Fort Street, man. I didn't want the photo. I knew I wanted a photo of Detroit, but I wanted a photo of ground level Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't want the cliche photo of the Renaissance Center and the whole Detroit skyline, that whole shit, man. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want the fist or I just didn't want any of that cliche stuff, man. I wanted a ground level photo of Detroit that, if you thought about it, really only Detroiters knew what that picture was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're not from Detroit, or you haven't lived in Detroit, you don't know where that's taken. You don't know what that is. But all the Detroiters that have seen that photo, they know exactly where that is, or they know what street it is, or they know at least what area that's in.
Right.
Just by looking at the background, you could see it. Be like, all right, okay, so the Renaissance is way over here on the right side. Okay, that means he's going. Oh yeah, that's Fort Street. Okay, bet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's a ground level Detroit photo that really only Detroiters know about. If you're not from there, you're gonna look at it and be like, it must be a photo of Detroit, since the album's called Sincerely Detroit. But I don't really know anything more about it. But yeah, no, it's a dope photo. It's real dingy. We wanted it to just kind of reflect the sound of the album, man. And to me, it's a really calming photo.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a
really
calming
great
photo, man. And I love it. It's one of my favorite covers.
Yeah, it's a really good cover. I can't wait to get the vinyl of it and see
Yeah, it's one of my favorite covers, man. I really love it. I should have. Yeah, I was gonna say I should. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Before we get out here, just what's your final thoughts about this album, Sincerely Detroit? It's done. It's out. What's your final thoughts?
Like I stated in the beginning, man, it's an album I've always wanted to make my whole career. I don't regret any parts of this album whatsoever. The way that it came together, the music that was made, the verses, the beats, everything about it just came together how it was supposed to. And whether you like it or not, or whether the album came together how it was supposed to, and I'm very, very happy with it. Very pleased with the album, man. And I just think that it was necessary, man. It was something that I needed to do for my career, and it was something that I needed to do for Detroit. And I represent Detroit wherever I go. Whether I'm here, whether I'm there, whether I'm overseas, whether I'm in another state, I represent Detroit very, very hard, man. And I always talk about Detroit, and it's just, this was an album that I needed to do for Detroit. And I mentioned this earlier, it's not just about me. It's not just about the individual MCs on this album. It's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's Detroit as a whole coming together to make an album for the world, and signed Sincerely Detroit.
Right. And it's a great album, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Proud of you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. Before we get out of here, where can people go online to get more information about what you're up to?
Oh, man. All my social media is at Apollo Brown, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Twitter, just at Apollo Brown, nothing else. And
Thank you for listening to the Renaissance Soul podcast, hosted and produced by myself, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier, empowered by Anchor at anchor.fm/Renaissance Soul. Renaissance Soul theme music provided by Steve O. You can find more of his productions at iamsteveo.bandcamp.com, and that's EYEAMSTEVEO.bandcamp.com. Renaissance Soul is available on all streaming platforms. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. If you want to support Renaissance Soul, please consider pledging via Patreon at patreon.com/freshastheword. Follow Renaissance Soul on social media on Instagram at RenSoulPodcast and on Twitter at RenSoulPod. And join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/freshastheword. And for more information on Renaissance Soul, visit freshasthepodcast.com. Thank you for listening and your support. Goodbye and good night.
Renaissance Soul.